Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends Spider-Man retro card, Prowler. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are checking out the Marvel Legends Spider-Man retro carded Prowler, which I believe in the US is a Walmart exclusive. However, in the UK, no Walmarts, it's not an exclusive. It is slowly making its way over here. And you know me, I am a big fan of the Spider-Man retro card. It is a beautiful tribute to that 90s Toy Biz toy line which accompanied the animated show, which was essentially my gateway to all things Marvel. And they also get bonus points when they release a character on this card that was also originally in that toy line. Extra points as well if it is more accurate to the animated show, and Hobie Brown is about 90% there. Definitely looks closer to the animated show than the previous release, which we will do some comparisons of in this video. But let's just take a moment once more to appreciate the glorious retro card. I already have another to put on my wall, even though I'm definitely running out of wall space. There he is on the box. On the back of the packaging, we get that trademark stencil and also a write-up that reads, using a super suit from Kingpin, Hobie Brown became the powerful criminal Prowler, with the caveat that he worked only for Wilson Fisk. Feeling betrayed, Prowler turned to Spider-Man for help. Wilson Fisk is, of course, Kingpin, and Hobie Brown's a bit of an anti-hero, as he definitely started off on a criminal path, but he realised he made wrong decisions and is trying to make it right. Is this right for our collection? Let's find out. So here we have Hobie Brown, aka Prowler, out of the packaging with those few accessories, just a set of interchangeable fisted hands, and of course that Prowler mask. But I do appreciate getting that civilian head as well, as it is very accurate to what we've seen on the animated show, and those characters are always very important. Remember, there's no Peter Parker without Spider-Man, so I like having that display option here. But of course, I'm going to pop that off at the start just to put on this Prowler head sculpt, which I believe is the same as the previous Prowler figure. And talking about that, let's bring that in real quick for our straight up comparison. I'll also get the tape measure out so we can see what we're dealing with. I think they are the same height. Maybe the new one's a tiny bit taller. Yeah, maybe it is by a smidgen, just over 6.5 inches tall. But the new one is undoubtedly an upgrade in its most simplest form. First and foremost, it is completely pinless. That's an upgrade. And also the cape is now keyed in at the shoulders rather than just sort of loosely around the neck and then plugging in on the back. Like, this never looked natural, never looked right. I also prefer the colour of the new one, as it sort of has a lighter metallic shine than the previous one. Neither are exactly accurate to what we've seen on the animated show. The gauntlet should be a little bit further up the arm, but still it is close enough to give you that sort of embodiment, that sort of representation of the show. So let me throw them on the rotating base and ramble for 30 seconds so you can see them spin around. As I said, the capes are different. It is much better that it's keyed in on the shoulders now and drapes over. Again, I prefer the colour palette of the new one as well. It just pops that little bit more. The deco's slightly different on the front. Again, both of the bouts are just a simple separate bout, but neither of them are accurate. They should have like a sculpted Prowler logo on the sort of middle there. And as I said, the gauntlet should be a little bit higher. But the new ones don't seem as loose as the old ones, but that may fade over time. Time will tell, but still, that is your two Marvel Legend modern day Prowler options. One of them's just a little bit more accurate to what we've seen on the animated show, but both of them could absolutely be used as a Prowler in your comic display. I wanted to zoom in and show you a sort of side profile of these two just to see how much more natural looking that cape is now that it is keyed in on the shoulder rather than being plugged in on the back and just sort of sitting awkwardly, sort of hovering around his chin. So yeah, the new one is just a lot nicer, natural looking proportionately. I also prefer the lighter shade of purple, as it allows you to see the deco on the mask a lot more clearly, which is obviously a character element you're going to want to display. Also, it's now pinless. You've also got the sort of lighter, sort of different shade of green as well. So again, I do think this new one is definitely an upgrade. Now, is it an upgrade worthy of you spending more money? That is for you to decide. Quick look at the two head sculpts. Once again, they do seem to be the same, but obviously the new one now, the lighter shade of purple, just shows off the deco and that design a lot more clearly and visible, which I definitely prefer. I've also had to take the cape off the old one just to show you the head sculpt. As I said, that old cape just sort of hovered around his chin and looked awkward. So yeah, the new one, definitely better. But let me move that comparison out the way so we can actually see the sculpted lines here on this Prowler mask. Very nicely done. But of course, we've seen this before. It's a nice Prowler mask, accurate to the design. But let's have a look at that Hobie head and look at our options here. So looking at the Hobie Brown head sculpt, I think they've done a great job bringing this design from the animated show into the 3D plastic. That digital face printing tech really does allow them to give it a sense of realism so it doesn't look too cartoony. And this would definitely fit in an overall comic display as well, much like they have already done with the Peter Parker, Mary Jane and Aunt May. I really do hope they do more civilian characters from that animated show. But yeah, Hobie Brown here looks great, and it gives you those display options. Like if you already have a Prowler in your display, get this one so you can display Hobie Brown somewhere else on the shelf. So yeah, I like it. And again, the hairstyle is bang on, and he definitely walks around the show a hell of a lot with the mask off, you wearing the full Prowler outfit. So this definitely is a way you can display him on the shelf as well. I think they've done a great job. Again, the digital face printing tech at work here. Really nice head sculpt, not been used before. This is unique for him, but I'm assuming you can maybe use this for some other characters in your display as well if you wanted to. But yeah, really nice. And while we're taking a look, you can see the deco now actually has the black outline, and it's a little bit further up. The torso is actually different to the previous one. And again, there's no sort of outline on the previous one. Again, the bout could have been better, to be honest. That is a little bit lazy with just the deco on there. Could have been a nice new sculpted bout. That would have made a difference. In the show, the gauntlets go a little bit further up the arm, but I'm fine with them being here. To be fair, as I said, it's close enough. Moving down to the legs. Now, these used to always fall low on the old one, but I've sort of glued mine in. So hopefully these stay in position. But yeah, sometimes these would drop down. But I do like the sort of metallic shine that these have. It's like that light purple to match what we get on the cape. Is the cape a little bit dark on the inside? Yeah, it is. So the cape on the inside is darker than the outside, which I like. It's a nice contrast there. It's like a shadowy effect. And again, no hole on the back of the figure. The cape is keyed in on the shoulders. So I'm not going to remove the cape. If you want to, you do at your own peril. But I actually think this is soft enough. It's not like going to make it too heavy or anything like that. I genuinely think they've done a good job with this figure. Really, really like what we got. And out of the box, you get the two clawed hands, which we already seen. And again, I would have liked the butterfly joints, not going to lie, if they'd used the Vulcan body fully, but they haven't. They've just used like the arms and legs, I think. So butterfly joints are a miss. Maybe we don't have them because of the way the cape is keyed in. I don't know what excuses they make, but the ab crunch is pretty good. Forward and back, the cape does not hinder that. You get your swivel under the bout. Remember, the bout's a separate piece, so you can put it low or you can put it high, up to you. The legs go pretty far forward, double jointed, pinless knees, boot swivel hidden at the top of the design, which I like, ankle pivot rocker, thigh cut, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, limited because of the thick gauntlets, of course. But yeah, standard Marvel Legends articulation. And as I mentioned, he also has a set of fisted hands as well for a more neutral look. So if you are going to display Hobie Brown with the unmasked head, maybe don't use the claw hands and it looks a little bit more natural. But I like the display options we get there. Only a few, but they're nice. And for one last time, I promise, here is your Marvel Legends Prowler comparison. And for me, there is a clear winner to which one is the overall better representation of the character Prowler for your Marvel Legends display. It just proportionately, aesthetically looks better. And I'm well aware I'm becoming a pin snob. I apologise for all future videos where I moan about pins, as it's going to happen. As now we've gone pinless, I don't really want to go backwards, all right? It just aesthetically looks a lot better as you're building out your Marvel Legends display, for sure. But if you do want to keep your old Prowler in your display for maybe to use the Hobie Brown head sculpt, then yes, of course, that pops on the old body, no problem at all. Next up, Spider-Man, of course, and we have both our animated series versions on the table. And I say that as both of these are the cel shaded versions. Now, I definitely prefer non-cel shaded Marvel Legends, so I'm very glad the Prowler has no cel shading. I don't really like that gimmick, as it sort of pigeonholes you into where you can display things. The character designs are so similar across the animated show and the comics. When they're non-cel shaded, it just gives you more options for display. And even these two Spider-Men are meant to be the same character from the same show, the same source material, but they're on different body molds, different books. It doesn't make sense. So I still think we need the ultimate sort of Spider-Man from the animated series. But his Prowler next to what we've got. And I've switched the Hobie head back on real quick as I wanted to see what he looked like next to Peter Parker, as these two share many scenes together in the show just like this. So I do love seeing it, and I do want Hasbro to do more civilian characters from the animated show. Felicia Hardy would be a great shout for the next one, as they're doing a great job. Honestly, I know we've got Aunt May and we've also got MJ, and they all look so good so far. So yeah, please do more civilian characters, or keep giving us alternative head sculpts. That'd be great. And like I mentioned, you can put them into a comic display. So here we have my favorite comic Spider-Man. It is of course the Renew Your Vows. And then I brought in Vulcan, as originally I thought that these two shared a lot of similar parts, but maybe a different torso because he doesn't have the butterfly joints. But taking a closer look, it doesn't look like he shares any parts from Vulcan. It just seems like this is a sort of modified Marvel Legend body to make it pinless, but it definitely isn't the Vulcan body. As you can see, Vulcan's taller. Going back to the animated Vi's, we have Iron Man and War Machine, who both made an appearance in the Spider-Man show, just don't think they crossed over with Prowler. More animated Spider-Man figures, we have the VHS Carnage and then the retro carded Venom that has the blue and red cell shading. And again, an example of no continuity. This has cell shading, these don't. Back to the comic world, we have Black Widow, one of my favorite female Marvel Legends, and then the Punisher, who is in desperate need of an update. At least give the guy butterfly joints, Hasbro. My next comparison should be the retro carded Kingpin, as both him and Prowler are in the same episode of the animated series. However, he's so far back on my display, just to get the Kingpin, I will knock the whole display down. It's not worth it for a 10-second comparison segment, I promise you. So instead, here's another opportunity to show off the superior Spider-Man from the Marvel Legends 85th anniversary line. Full review on the channel right now. It's going to be a hot summer for Marvel Legends. And one last one, considering these were both on the table next to me. This is the Venom that we're going to be getting later this year in the 85th anniversary line, but with the additional articulation. So check out the upcoming Venom on the retro card, which is another Walmart exclusive, I believe. And then on the other side, we have Deadpool, just because it's a great figure and his mask sort of reminds me of Prowler a little bit. If you couldn't tell, most of my Spider-Man animated series figures are on the display, so I had to make do with what was available. So let's wrap up with the Who crew. It is of course Frogman, Tigra, and unfortunately Jocasta is still out of service. And then last but absolutely never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal Fire Hank. So final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Spider-Man animated series retro card Prowler. Remember, if you're in the US, it's a Walmart exclusive. If you're in the UK, it's not, and it should be available anytime now. And I, for one, think it's an upgrade compared to the previous version. When you take everything into consideration with the new cape system, the way it sits a lot more natural, it's pinless, you've got more heads for display options. It's just a better figure overall. It's not perfect by any means. It's definitely more animated leaning with the color choices, but it's not animated accurate either. That's why you can still use it in a comic display if you desire. I would have liked butterfly joints, and I'm probably still going to have to glue in those sort of bullet wraps around the shins, as they're always going to fall down over time, but it's still a solid representation of the character, and that's what it's all about for me. So you let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you getting this one to upgrade the previous one, or are you keeping what you've got? Remember, it's your display, you create the rules. But if you like Marvel Legends, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please, please, please hit that subscribe button, hit all of the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on Twitter or X at Dan Who Reviews, and I will of course see you on the next one.